5 classics, where we restore history one classic at a time. Welcome back to part 5 of our 1977 Scout 2 build. Today's episode, we're going to go ahead and redo the front brakes. We're putting disc brakes on the front, rebuilding the drums in the rear. If you haven't checked out videos of this Scout before, please do. We've got 4 more before this. In the first video, we got it running, which if you watch that video, knows we had some misfire issues. I actually found out when putting this back together that someone had timed it to cylinder 1 instead of cylinder 8. So we've got that taken care of. It should run really well now, like it's supposed to. Once we got it running, we took it apart, got it off the frame. Once it was off the frame, we rebuilt the chassis, put a little small lift kit on it, cleaned it up, everything else. Then, after that, we put brand new floors in it because they were rusted out, had some issues. I got a lot of other stuff laying back here right now. This quarter here is new. I haven't welded it on because I've been working on a couple other things. I am waiting on some more parts. We've got to do new brake lines, regasket the engine, and do a few other things, new fuel pump, stuff like that, get this thing running. So again, if you haven't checked out the previous videos of this, please do. But right now I'm going to go ahead and get these front tires off, get that going, and start getting this built. Well, nothing can quite be that simple. So it took about 30 minutes just to get the wheels off, because on this side over here we had one of the lug bolts decide it was loose, so that was entertaining getting that wheel off. Luckily I had the drums off, so that wasn't too bad. So after that, I went to the parts house, got the socket I need to get those hex bolts out, and then I got the spindle socket to get that hub out. So next I'm going to go ahead and start on this side because I've already got some of it done. Already had some of these out earlier. Got that ready. So get that taken apart so I can start getting the new parts in. I'll probably go ahead and pull those axle shafts out. I should have some new U-joints for that. I'll replace those, get those in so everything's nice and brand new. So next up, I'm going to go ahead and get those started on that side, and hopefully it goes a little bit better than getting those wheels off. Alright, well as you can see, I went ahead and got that axle shaft out. I've got it laying here. I'll go ahead and replace that U-joint off camera, just because it's going to take a little bit of time. And then I'm going to get all that cleaned up. The ball joints actually don't look too bad. They look like they've been replaced fairly recently. I'll check them again and see where they look and see if I want to replace those. But now I've got all this apart. I went ahead and got the hub out off camera because it was a little bit of a fight. It's been on there a little while. I had to kind of pry it off a little bit. But once I get that cleaned up and get that replaced, I'll start getting this side back together. But first I'm going to go ahead and do the other side real quick. So we'll jump back in. I'm getting this together next. So back in on this Scout, I went ahead and replaced the U-joints. I'll go ahead and show you here. So I replaced the U-joints, replaced the ball joints. So now I've got the bracketry already set up here. I haven't tightened, put any of the nuts on here yet. Went ahead and cleaned this up, put some fresh grease on it. I'll put some more on there in just a minute. And then I went ahead and got this together off camera too. Went ahead and put the new disc back on the hub, and I'll get that ready to set back on here after I tighten that down. It came with new studs, so I got those in. Went ahead and pressed those in over on our press in the back. So I got those on, and I should have everything come back together. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these bolts in, get this hub set back in there. I had a problem with the other side. I didn't have the socket for the right size on that. It's actually like a 2 1/16 or 2 1/8, I believe it is. So I had to get that special ordered. It'll be in later today. Then I'll be able to get the other side apart and finish tightening down this side, since this side was just hand tight to begin with, and then go ahead and bend that washer back to fit just so it locks it down, because that's what they've done on the other side. So I'll go ahead and just repeat that process on this side too and get this all back together. Probably won't have this back together today depending on when that socket comes in, but hopefully we'll get that done pretty quick. So let me go ahead and get these bolts in, these nuts in here, and get this back together and get this hub put back together. So there we go, I've got this one mostly together. Once I get that socket in, I'll do some adjustment here on that bearing. It's a little bit too tight now, it's got pressure on with that disc brake. So I'll have to adjust there and then probably adjust that caliper some, because right now it's fairly stiff. So I'll do some adjustment after that, but I'm waiting until I get that nut in, or that socket in, to fix that nut. Took a little bit of work to get this lined up back here. Not really sure why it should be expected. So I got that done. And then while I'm waiting on that socket to come in, I'll probably start replacing all the brake lines. And once those are done, then I should have that socket in, be able to take the other side apart, get this side back together, and then start getting all that plumbed together, and then start working on the back. So I'll go ahead and start working on these brake lines next and go from there. All right, so it's actually been a couple days since I was able to knock out the passenger side disc brake conversion, as you see there. On the driver's side, I've actually already got it done as well. I did it off camera. I actually had to get a used hub for it. The original hub, someone had drilled out the lug bolts and it just wasn't gonna work anymore. So next up, I'm gonna do the front brake lines. I've got the front one right here. I already cut the old ones out. Really wasn't worth trying to save them when they were already so bad, so I went ahead and cut those out. Then after that, I'm gonna put the front brake hoses in, get all that plumbed, and then probably work on getting the new master cylinder and brake power booster in, and then start trying to figure out if I want to do the rears next, or if I want to start working on this engine. I'd really like to get this Scout on our different lift, so I can get up in the air a little bit easier to do the rears, but we'll figure that out in a minute. So let me go ahead and get these brake lines in here real quick. Shouldn't be anything too hard. I cleaned up the old divider, and I'll put that in a minute. So let me go ahead and get these front brake lines in. All right, so I got the front brake line in here, as you can see. I did have a couple of problems with it. I had to go and get a fitting to reduce it down for the brake lines. The brake lines wouldn't screw into the factory brake lines, which is fine. It's not that big of a deal. So I got that taken care of. The front brake lines are done. Next up, I am going to go ahead and get this rear brake line in. As you can see, I've already got the rear wheels off. So I'm going to get this rear brake line in, and then from there, I might actually be done for the day. I'm not positive yet. I ordered some new brake drums for the rear, so I don't know when those will be in. If they're in, today I'll get those in and rebuild those rear brakes. I may get it set anyways. I'm hoping to get this thing rolling again so I can actually move it over to a different lift so I can start working on the engine, get the fuel tank in, plumb fuel lines, all that. But that'll be on the next episode. But let me go ahead and get this rear brake line in and go from there and see what I want to do next. Well, as you can see, I got that rear brake line installed, and I went ahead and installed the new master cylinder and brake booster. But I'm gonna have to stop there for today because I actually need a new rear brake hose and rear brake drums, and then a couple fittings for the front. But before I actually finish up the brakes, I want to get this engine ready to go. I need to do a couple gaskets on it and finish getting it all tidied up, so that way I can get the front end built so that I can run these brake lines nice and tight the way I really want to. So that'll actually do it for today's episode. If you liked what you saw, please leave a like and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're going to be uploading a lot more in the coming days. We're planning on uploading at least once or twice a week now, and a lot shorter videos just so you get constant progress of everything going on here at Must Have Classics. We actually got the Cougar ready to go, and it's going to start moving forward along with the Falcon and a couple other cars coming in. So please subscribe if you haven't. Also, please check us out at Must Have Classics on Instagram and Must Have Classics Rawls on Facebook. From there, you can see a lot more sneak peeks of what we have going on. I upload a lot there, just about every single day. So if you want to see what's going on day to day, you can definitely check us out there. But that'll do it for today. And as always, please get those classics out and enjoy them every day. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks.